Alright, let's check out what's happening with Solana today. So in the past few videos we've made, we outlined this level at 112, which if you don't know, if we zoom all the way out, you can see that this would be our 618 golden pocket on the Fibonacci from low to all-time high. Now, what's important about this is we're below the 618 right now, which is technically macro bearish. We outlined two scenarios in the last video. Either we were going to get rejected from this 112, which we basically perfectly did. We came up to 113 and rolled over, or we can get above this 112 and break out of this resistance. And then we could definitely talk about being bullish after we get out of this resistance zone. But like I said before, I saw a lot of people getting out of bed on Solana saying moon is coming, blah blah blah, but all I said is I'm seeing a lower high until we break out, and obviously this is still technically a lower high and we've rolled over. Now in the last video I also outlined that if you want to remain bullish in the short term, we would need to hold the 618 here at $93, and you can see that we basically perfectly backtested it. We came to 94 and the 618 is at 93.44, so bar 56 cents we basically perfectly backtested the 618. So what I'm looking for now, to give you guys a little bit of hopium, is to come back down somewhere near the 618, hopefully put in a lower high, maybe at 95, 96, and then come off to the races, and then we can see if we can actually be bullish and break out of here in another period. I do just want to come and show you that Bitcoin seems to be falling off the table. We put in this bearish pennant and it is now falling off. Total market cap is backtesting the 1.618, so it doesn't look too bullish right now. Quite a lot of selling volume stepping in as well, and quite a low RSI, which looks like it's just turned over from 40, so it doesn't look too good. But what I also wanted to show you was a scenario I haven't seen anyone else talk about on YouTube for Solana. So if we come over to Solana, I've got this chart over here on Binance, just because this one's a little bit sloppy and too much information is on here already. I don't want to add any more. So if we come over to the Binance chart, nothing really looks too special here, but you can obviously see since December Solana was at $1.60, so this is obviously very exponential growth. So let's put this on a logarithmic scale so we can chart this exponential growth a little bit easier, and this really tells a complete different story. You can see Solana has had these phases where it doesn't trend sideways at all. It has a steep correction and then explodes up. It has a steep correction and then explodes up, and then it has a steep correction, and then obviously I'll let you decide if you think that we're going to explode out of this. But out of curiosity, let's take a price chart and see how much it's dumped in these moves before, so we can get an idea of if we're near the end or if we've broken past it and we're beyond the level of saving. So you can see in this first dip on the Binance chart we came down 67%. On the second dip from the high to the low of this candle, another 67%. So let's see if this is also 67%. Wow, 68%. So while this chart on Solana says we could potentially be backtesting the bottom of this channel, or we could be coming down to the 618, this chart says the correction is done. Now what's also interesting is if you look on the 200-day moving average, we normally break down below it a little bit on the weekly candles and then break straight back out of it afterwards. So what I would be looking for is hopefully to get above this 200 daily moving average, which would intersect with the price round about the 150 level. So even in a bearish scenario, Solana could pump almost 50% to the 200-day moving average, and then we could either see, are we going to roll over and is this different to the previous corrections, or is this the correction done? And at that point we would let's see what previous growth we've had. So from low to high we had a 1200% increase here. From low to high here we had a 5,000% increase, which is absolutely mental. So we've obviously got diminishing returns with each of these peaks. So instead of doing, we obviously went from 5,000 to 1,000. So let's be conservative and say let's pump 400%, which is, you know, very diminished from the previous one. You could see that this would put Solana at an all-time high around about $400. Now this is very interesting because that's a 4x from where we are now. The only problem with looking at this on the weekly chart and having this as our only chart that we're looking at is that Solana has only really been trading for like the past year or so. Solana is really not a long trending coin. If I come up to the weekly on here, I mean, the most data I have on Solana is the 6th of April 2020. So Solana really hasn't been around for more than like a couple of years. So Solana really hasn't experienced multiple bear markets like Bitcoin has. So you do need to take this technical analysis with a grain of salt. But what I would say is, as long as we don't backtest this previous low at $81, which from where we are is about another 18%, or to be honest, we can even backtest this and then slowly rise over time. But I do think if we start breaking down from the $82 level, then Solana would be coming into some turbulence. Now, let's check out the Solana BTC pair. You can see that we are below the 200-day moving average. We've perfectly kind of held this this level where we're at before, around the 2422, and had a relatively strong bounce against Bitcoin. A lot of other coins are bleeding against Bitcoin, but you know, Solana is up 12% in the past day. Obviously, if we zoom out, it is still kind of down against Bitcoin, about 37% from the all-time high, but this is to be expected when a massive drop comes. It is also good to know that Solana massively outperforms Bitcoin every time we have a bull cycle. So what to look for next in Solana? Like I said, if we come back to the daily chart over here, the best case scenario for Solana is double bottoming, or perhaps doing something like this and Wing out of this pattern. Now, I'm going to say this every video until we break out of the pattern, because there's no point in getting bullish until we break out of this pattern. If this pattern drags on for another year and we do something like this, let me lock this quickly. Oops, how do I get away from here? Sorry about that. Okay, let's switch back. So, if we lock this, if this channel continues for like another couple of months or so, I could imagine Solana could do hypothetically something like this, and you know, later on in maybe February or March we could pump up to something like $70, and at that point everyone would be screaming bullish, bullish, bullish again. But just to reiterate one more time, until we get above this this resistance line here, then I honestly can't be bullish on Solana in the short or mid-term. Now, Solana is one of my favorite coins for the long term, but until we see volume stepping in, until we break out of this channel, until we get above at least 140, then you know, we're liable to do something like this and roll over for another couple months. Now, we're honestly going to need to see what happens in the next couple of weeks and months. If we can break out of this channel, then perfect, but it's all a waiting game right now. We're in the middle of a channel, there's nothing to celebrate, there's nothing to get out of bed for. So yeah, once again, this is all just my opinions on the market, and you should always do what's best for you. Peace.